everybody, how's it going? Happy Saturday! Whoa, pausing that. Actually, no, we can keep going. And keep going for a little bit. Hey, welcome back to the stream, everybody. How's it going? Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everyone had a great weekend. It has been a couple weeks. Welcome back, y'all. Yeah, I was not here last weekend. We were in... Oh, hold on, let me do some sound adjustment on my end. Whoa, that's too loud. Way too dank. Alright. Like, I don't want... I don't want this to be too loud, but, like, I need to have the volume at a certain level in my ears. Hey, Dr. Linkling, that's a Momo. And then also, this is... Oh, I should put Momo's camera back on. He was like, you all need to fucking pay attention to me. There you go. There's the cat. Enjoy that cat. Let me move this so it's a little less... Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. We're fine. It's all good. I'm gonna adjust this just a skosh. There we go. My curtain, like, blew over my monitor somehow and, like, knocked down the camera, so things might be a little bit scuffed. Anyway, posture check, hydrate, and pata. Okay, pata the kata we could do. We could do that while we're talking. Hey, welcome back. I'm back in town now. We're ready. We took a 1 week break because I was not going to be here last weekend. But there should be nothing coming up for a few weeks, so we're good to continue the game. Amazing, right? Amazing. I had fun. Last weekend was FanFest for Final Fantasy XIV, so I was over in Vegas. And that was an adventure because our car broke down. So that was very special. It's all good. We're here. We're safe. It's all good. Alright, now I'll pause the music. Yeah, we're doing good. It was a fun time, fun event. See, now I want to, like, boost the volume. I want the game audible, just Spotify was too dank. We're working on it. Yeah, it was a fun time. Vegas was fun. Got to see some cool cosplays. Got to see some people I haven't seen in a while. It's a nice time. We'll talk more about Final Fantasy XIV stuff when we next stream that, which will be probably... I think we're gonna do some stuff tomorrow. We're not gonna raid tomorrow. This one of our raid members had a emergency, so there's gonna be no raid this week, but we'll maybe do something else in 14 tomorrow. Maybe some Deep Donger. And then let me... Sorry, it's like bugging me, because it's like... You ever get like your hair in your headphones? Yeah, that's like not a great feeling. Okay, anyway. We'll figure this out. There we go. That's much better, right? Right, okay. So yeah, Ace Attorney! We'll start it off by doing the special content like we did before. We're gonna read a couple of these escapades. We'll read a couple more. There's only 3 more left, but we'll read 1 or 2, and then we'll kind of get going after that. And then we'll recap a little bit before we dive into the actual game. But for now, let's enjoy some escapades. Oh, I'm sorry, Momo. I forgot I needed to pet you because of the redeem. This is a cat. He did not enjoy me being gone last week. I will tell you that much. He was very displeased. He was like, "How dare you leave me?" So yeah, now he's here. He's glad to be back on the internet for y'all. Appreciate him. All right. Escapades, episode 6 in Mr. Natsume's room. In this escapade in Mr. Natsume's room, it's revealed that the Japanese scholar was once a teacher of English. He has much to say on the cultural differences between Japan and Britain, as well as on sentimentality, Shakespeare, and cycling. All right, a little more about Mr. Natsume we're going to learn here. Include spoilers. It's fine, we beat the first game already. 23rd of February, 6:09 p.m. in Mr. Natsume's room. So, Mr. Natsume, are you really returning home to Japan? Yes, indeed I am. Everything is arranged already.
I'll be sad to see you go. And after Runa worked so hard to prove your innocence as well. What a shame. Feels like it was all wasted effort.
Don't say that! I know what you're suggesting. Now calm down, Mr. Natsume. It's all fine. Really. You are in good company here, sir. If you fear the Reaper, you needn't hide the fact. And Sholmes is just there, reading in the corner. I am a proud citizen of the Empire of Japan! I am not a scaredy cat! Hey, Toto and Snakes, how's it going? Welcome on in. Welcome back. We're just getting started here, so you have very good timing. And this cat, as well, is also needs things. Oh, hello, cat. Thank you for knocking over my wrist rest. Yes, you're very cute. I know. I understand. I know. He just, like, used his tail to, like, knock some shit off my desk. It was great. He's very proud of himself. Talking of cats, Mr. Sholmes just casually threw one among the pigeons there. What? A man like me belongs in Japan, not here. That's what I've come to realize. I wonder. A mustache such as yours is eminently suited to London, I would say. There goes Mr. Sholmes throwing another cat in. Wait, what? The moment I arrived in the city, I noticed everyone in London laughs at me behind my back like hyenas. Hysterical hyenas. Horribly. I would be more dramatic, but this cat is like, pet me right now.
I'm not sure that's not... I'm sure that's not true, Mr. Natsume.
Oh, but it is. Whenever I turn around and peer down the fog-filled streets, all I see is foreigners everywhere. I love Natsume, he's so funny.
Well, there's you, Runo, and Susie in here, so that's 3 foreigners out of 5 people. I take your point.
Only the other day, I was taking a stroll through the fog as usual when a young man approached me from ahead. He was pale and gaunt. His back arched like a cat. Observing his wretchedness moved me so deeply. I thought to myself, I'm not the only one suffering in this hell. But, do you know what? Can you imagine? It was just my own reflection in a shop window. Stunning, stinging, stupefying, surprise! Oh, poor Mr. Natsume. Poor Soseki-san. Don't forget, slap in the face. Everyone started laughing at me. Gentlemen thereabouts, ladies passing by. Even the man in the shop window. Didn't we just establish that that was you? Right? This poor man. Ah, yes. And a certain great detective would like to be included among the mirthful. Ah. Mr. Sholmes is really going for Soseki-san today.
Well, I for one think you're a very handsome man, Mr. Natsume.
There, did you hear that? This 10-year-old girl thinks you're handsome. Isn't that wonderful? That makes me feel suspiciously warm inside. He looks genuinely delighted. The point is, we Japanese are humble and modest. Studying on foreign soil, surrounded by foreign people. How could anyone possibly enjoy that? No one could! It's impossible! If you're a genuine Japanese!
If you say so. Actually, it would appear that there is someone. A Japanese man who studied in a foreign country and seems to have thrived on the experience.
There is? Thank you, Susato-san.
Mr. Ogai Mori. I believe he studied in Germany.
Mr. Mori, pray tell us more, the fellow.
Well, today, he's a very successful author in Japan.
Oh, I've heard of him. He's the professor who wrote My Hime, right? Isn't he?
My Hime?
I suppose in English the title would be Dancing Queen, maybe?
Oh, I see. A tale of a woman who waltzed her way through the world, perhaps? You really needn't make up a silly translation, you know. It's already officially called The Dancing Girl in English. It seems Mr. Mori greatly enjoyed his time in Germany. He became close with a local lady while he was there.
Close, you say? With a local lady? Compatriots, criminally contradictory conduct! Well, I suppose your experience of studying abroad depends to a large extent on your character. As they say, many minds! Mr. Mori has an open mind. Mr. Natsume, a closed one. Possibly a slightly black and white view, do you think, Mr. Sholmes?
Well, anyway. If that's how you feel about being abroad, why did you choose to study here?
Wasn't it to further our nation's understanding of the English language or something like that? Yes, that's right. So, what were you doing in Japan before you came to Great Britain then? I was a school teacher of English, of course.
A bit cursory, perhaps, but I've managed to discover some information about Mr. Natsume's teaching days.
That's just a little outside the field of law, isn't it, Miss Susato? Where did you find that information, and why did you write it down in your notebook? Was it because he was our client? So you were trying to learn more about him? My hair is caught in my headphones. That's awkward. There we go.
Well, let me pose you a question, Mr. Naruhodo. If you had to translate the English phrase, I love you, into Japanese, what would it become?
That's easy. Aishiteru or suki desu.
Wrong. According to Mr. Natsume's teachings, at least.
What?
Would you like to explain, Mr. Natsume?
Yes, of course. Your research was very thorough. I always used to tell my students that we Japanese don't express ourselves that way. Rather, we might say, "Ski ga kirei desu ne." My dear Mr. Natsume, I must interject. That means "Ski ga kirei desu ne" would translate to "the moon is beautiful," isn't it? Exactly. I know that!
The point is that we Japanese are reticent when it comes to expressing our emotions.
It's true.
Prefer to show our feelings of adoration, our ski, by appreciating the beauty of the moon, the tsuki.
Using the tsuki to express suki is an amusing play on words, I see. No! Or in language you might understand her, bad Sholmes. It's not a play on words. Subtle, tumble. It's fleeting and beautiful. It's art.
Isn't it just being shy?
My dear fellow, the foreign dancing girl will forever be out of your reach with such an attitude. Imagine how the great Mr. Mori would act. He would win the lady's heart in a flash with a well-placed and unrestrained "I love ya." That's smooth, Mr. Mori. My destined to live in his shadow forever. Just what sort of man is he in that imagination of yours? Fact is, I just can't settle in this foggy London town with all its foreign inhabitants. I've lost control of the number of different lodgings I tried before I found myself here. As it happens, I even lived on Baker Street at one time.
No, really?
A Sal scholar lived there, lives near there, a man by the name of William James Craig. His knowledge of Sal is unsurpassed. He's been a great inspiration to me over the... Forgive the interruption, but am I supposed to be familiar with the Sal you speak of? It's Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare! But in Japanese, we write it as Sa and O. It's a phonetic representation using kanji characters, so... In England is Igirisu, and America is America. Come to think of it, we use the same character as Ri in one word and Risu in another. Talk about confusing. So Shakespeare is Sao in Japanese. Presumably the Sa is a brutal attempt at the first Sha, in which case, where's the spear?
I never thought of that. We only have the O left.
Which could, even in the most charitable interpretation, only be a brutal attempt at old man.
It seems to me that whoever had the job of deciding on the characters for his name got bored very early on.
Ooh. Complete kanji character catastrophe! So then, on to the burning question. What about me? How do you write my name? Sorry. Luck Sholmes, my dear fellow. There must be Japanese characters for my name.
Oh dear. I'm sorry, Mr. Shones, but none exist that I'm aware of.
What? Am I really nothing to you, Japanese? In that case, it is a matter of paramount importance. You must construct my name in kanji at once. Well, we could use kanji that's pronounced so to start with, and then use one more to give so, perhaps? I think that would be about right, Mr. Sholmes.
But that's almost the same as Sao, isn't it?
Yes, you employed the dreaded O. I don't want people to confuse me with an old man who died centuries ago.
Hey, Momo!
He's trying to eat a piece of plastic for some reason. Is your mouth bored? Are you really that hungry? It is too early for you to eat. His mouth got bored. I'm sure the world's greatest literary figure would rather not be confused with you either. Well, the world's greatest detective is still youthful and full of vigor. So how about so handsome?
Oh yes, that sounds wonderful. I'm sure everyone will be calling you that in 100 years from now.
How can she say that with a straight face?
What about me then? Iris, perhaps Aihime, since the second character doesn't seem to matter. Aihime? Oh yes, Princess of Love. That's an adorable name for you, Iris.
Stop, please! With a name like that, Mr. Mori is likely to turn up at any moment and rashly declare, I love you! This Mori-san has become quite a character in Soseki-san's mind. And you, Mr. Naruhodo, might I venture Kurobozu is a fitting name for you, as in the Dark Monk. Ryunosuke is Japanese. He already has a Japanese name. What are you doing?
Oh, that's very good. It describes you perfectly, Bruno.
So you think I'll be wearing this black varsity uniform for the rest of my days, do you?
But Mr. Naruhodo already has a Japanese name. I don't believe he needs another.
Exactly! Thank you, Susato-san.
Anyway, we were talking about your life here in London, weren't we, Mr. Natsume? You should just get out and have fun.
The landlady has said as much to me, too. This is Garideb? But it wasn't fun at all. Just frightful.
Whatever do you mean?
A cycle incident! An incident? On a bicycle? Oh yeah, come to think of it, wasn't there like a damaged bicycle outside of here? That must be his. Yup. It's an old bicycle park just outside, isn't there? It's in a sorry state, though. I tried to say no to her, but she insisted I took it for a ride. Perhaps my pronunciation was wrong. So I took my life in my hands and attempted to ride the steel spider web stallion to a nearby park. I really don't think there's anything wrong. Oh, sorry. Wrong one. Wrong one.
I really don't think there's anything wrong with your pronunciation, Mr. Natsume.
Joan Garideb just isn't the kind of woman to take no for an answer. If you're going to die, you might as well die in a beautiful surroundings. So the park was my first thought. After a whole day of dicing with death, I emerged with only relatively minor bruises. So, you got the knack of it? Don't be silly. Dying isn't something you can learn to do. I meant riding the bicycle. Soseki-san.
Mr. Natsume? You keep talking about dicing with death and dying and so forth, but riding a bicycle is supposed to be fun.
Oh no, that's just what people tell you. But it's an old wives' tale.
Is it?
I mean, just consider the real name of the vehicle. It's not called a bicycle for nothing. What? How anyone expects to use such an aptly named vehicle to move forward is beyond me. Pedal, power, promises pain! I don't think you understood the name correctly, Soseki-san.
I didn't think it was possible to get worse with practice.
I'm lucky to be alive! Although, I must say, after looking death in the eye for a whole week, I did at least manage to mount the steed reliably. Notwithstanding a few wobbles, I found I could make progress in the forward direction. What a triumph. Deduction is much the same. When first presented with a problem, the mental exertion of trying to solve it leads only to bitter disappointment. But after a week of picking one's way carefully along the path of reasoning and thought, one begins to see results. So, is that why all of your off-the-cuff deductions always seem half-baked? Oh, there goes the cat. Ugh. Sorry, it's late afternoon.
What a wonderful insight into your extraordinary mind, Mr. Sholmes.
Unfortunately, after wobbling down the street, I noticed there were little stones everywhere. Death traps. Not that way, I said to myself. But the wild vehicle wouldn't listen. It wobbled me on and on down the street. So of course, I hit one of those deadly stones and the craze called through me. It's just my luck. Bicycles are the epitome of my pitiful life. I wish I could disagree. This poor man.
On the same subject, I I'm sure there's a famous American author who's written about having a similar experience. Oh yes, I've read that essay too, Iris.
Some of us are better read than others. Well, no more bicycles for me.
Oh, Mr. Natsume, at least you have an interesting anecdote to take with you back to Japan, if nothing else.
You always manage to put a positive spin on things, don't you, Mrs. Sato? Personally, I haven't mounted a bicycle for some time.
No, me neither.
That's good. So, how about a jaunt? We shall all ride out together. Huh? That sounds great. I'll perch behind Mrs. Sato. But, the sun is going down. It'll be pitch black before long.
London street lamps are very bright, you know, and the fog isn't too thick today.
And my beloved ride is all bent out of shape. My dear fellow, if you are bound to topple the vehicle anyway, it's fitting that it's already bent out of shape.
It's settled then. Come on, Mr. Natsume, shall we go?
This poor man. Ski ga kirei desu ne. Don't tell me that's his translation of no thank you as well. Indeed, Mr. Natsume, the moon is at its most beautiful at precisely this time in the evening. Oh.
You're not Japanese. You can't beat around the bush with us.
What a weird and wonderful world! This poor man, just trying to live. All right, I think we'll do one more escapade before we get on with the game. All right. On Briar Road. Episode 7 on Briar Road, a chilling escapade about a shilling's escape from the clutches of Rolly and Pat Beat, who'd only just found it on the street. Gina the pickpocket is the obvious suspect, but Ryunosuke, Sholmes, and Iris happen to be passing, and the plot quickly thickens. Sure. All right. th of April, 12:20 p.m., Briar Road. This poor man.
Sir, Constable Rolly Beat, reporting for duty. Thanks to the good officers of Lord Van Zeeks, I'm back on my beat here in the capital, doing my best for the good citizens of London, sir. My Rolly, back in his Bobby's uniform. You couldn't look any more handsome if you tried. Ah, my love, you say the sweetest things. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. To us, Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper of the Bailey at all. Oh, no, of course not. He's the patron saint of the Bobbies. The patron saint? Oh, yes, Pat, you're so right, my darling. Keeping us in the pocket, he is. On my first day back on the job, what did I find in the gutter? A shilling, my love, a whole shilling. Oh, Rolly, I always believed in you. I always knew one day you'd find some big small change. Just that shilling, I could buy you a cheap bunch containing a single flower, my sugar. A single flower? Oh, how romantic. But I'm so sorry, Pat. Only moments ago, that shilling disappeared. Disappeared? But how, my love? How? I think maybe. No, I'm sure. It was this girl here, sir. You swiped my precious shilling, didn't you, you cheeky little diver? Blimey. You took your time getting round to me, didn't ya? I thought thought that lovey-dovey stuff weren't ever gonna end. So, shilling, you say? Lifted from your word? Don't know nothing about it. What's the evidence, eh? Right there, the evidence is dancing around the back of your hand, young lady. You stole it from me. You lifted it from my pocket just now. You've got a nerve stealing from a bobby. Cobblers, the coin's mine. How could you know anyway? How could you know if it was taken just now or not? Dear me, you don't get it, do ya? We've hardly got a penny to our name, so that coin felt as heavy to me as a bar of gold. Eh? I'm telling you, the moment it left my pocket, I knew. I felt myself get a good few pounds lighter. Ah! Yep, that coin has got my blood, sweat, and tears all over it. What's the matter with you, eh, Mr. Naruto?
Huh? Me? Sorry? I'm just passing by. What do you want?
When the lady's in trouble, the true gent's supposed to be there to help. Not straight away, not an hour later.
This is my fault. I haven't stolen anything.
What about you, Sholmes? Thought you were supposed to be a great detective.
Dear me, Miss Lestrade. You took your time getting around to me, didn't you? I thought that long dispute was never going to end.
He only said give us a minute when we spotted you over the road and said hello.
Hold up, need water.
And that was 10 minutes ago, Ginny. We've just been standing here listening to you quarrel with this Bobby.
Do beg your pardon, madam. We shouldn't be troubling the public with police business.
That shilling belongs to us, doesn't it, Rolly?
Of course it does, my love. It's just for you and me, my darling.
No more?
This is just supposed to be a nice stroll with Iris and Mr. Sholmes before afternoon tea. Why did it have to run? Why did we have to run into another fiasco on Briar Road? I don't really see how we could be of any help, Gina. There's no way of knowing who the coin really belongs to if it was just dropped in the gutter.
I wouldn't be so sure of that, Bruno.
What?
I have a feeling I might know the answer to the question of whose coin that is.
Ha, my bright young fellow lodger. Let us hear your deduction.
Well, there's actually a reason why I suggested a stroll down by a road.
Oh, what reason?
You see, I was here yesterday and, well, I dropped a little something. So I wanted to come and look for it while enjoying an afternoon stroll.
Wait, you dropped something? You don't mean...
It was the pocket money that Hurley gave me.
What's this, Iris? You dropped that, did you?
I'm sorry. I went to the market on Lime Street yesterday to pick up some herbs, you see. But on the way, I must have dropped it. The 1 shilling coin you gave me.
Oh!
A 1-bob bit! Yes, and when I thought back over the route I took, I realized I must have dropped it here. Constable, you haven't seen it, have you? It's all my pocket money, and now it's gone.
I'm pretty sure she's just trying to scam these people out of 1 shilling. She's a smart girl, and she's got money stashed away. Well, I'm afraid I don't know anything about that, young lady.
What rotten luck dropping your money like that. Sorry.
I dare say the constable and his companion could give you a run for your money with their wide eyes. If it's all the same to you, Mr. Sholmes, I think I'd prefer not to be used as the yardstick for looking guilty.
Well, is tough really in it, Iris? You dropped it, so it ain't yours no more. Anyway, you know what they say, what goes around comes around, so don't feel bad.
Bad luck, Iris. It doesn't look like you're gonna get your coin back.
Oh, I can't believe I've lost it. And straight after Hurley gave it to me as well.
Yes, regrettable indeed. I seem to recall that particular coin was rather significant. Oh my god, he's in on it. He's in on the scam. What do you mean by significant?
To be specific, it was especially significant to you, Bruno.
Significant to me? You don't mean... It was the coin from last night's wager?
The very same, my dear fellow. What's this then? What wager? It was a game of poker. A duel between Hurley and Bruno. Poker? What, that tricky card game, you mean?
As a lawyer, I have the perfect poker face. You'll never be able to tell what I'm thinking, said he. But depriving Mr. Naruhodo of his entire fortune was even easier than finding that missing thoroughbred. It was so infuriating. Reliving it now still makes me grit my teeth. Sorry, Iris, I had every intention of paying you back the money I owe you, but you'll have to wait, I'm afraid.
Yes, I know. Don't worry. Next month is fine. Let me guess, Otto. Your whole fortune.
It was one whole shilling. My entire monthly stipend, and I lost all of it. As I handed it over to Mr. Sholmes, I gritted my teeth so hard my gums started to bleed.
Please, Bruno, don't exaggerate. That's a horrible image. What about a lawyer who borrows money from a 10-year-old girl? Now that's a horrible image.
Hold up, gotta pour some tea. All right. Why do I feel like my reputation with this couple has just fallen through the floor? There are few things more invigorating than taking a man for all he's worth.
Don't be so pleased with yourself, Hurley. It's not as if Bruno ever had a chance of winning.
Wait, what? What do you mean by that?
Well, using that special ink I developed, anyone could.
Did you scam me? Rude! Thank you, Iris. That'll do. I'm sure this conversation is proving very dull for everyone. No. I need more information on this. Did you scam us? What's done is done. The game is over now, and there's no point crying over spilt milk. Special ink, you say? Well, son, that sounds like the sort of risky business that's right up my alley.
Oh, Rolly, I love your dauntless spirit. You laugh in the face of danger. Come on, then, spill it. What's the special ink about, eh? Well, it's what's sometimes called invisible ink. All you have to do is write the suit and number on the reverse side of every card. And with the aid of some special glasses, the whole game is laid bare to you.
Cheating! Wait, you were wearing glasses last night, weren't you, Mr. Sholmes? You said something along the lines of, my eyesight appears to have suddenly worsened. You cheater. We got scammed.
And the moment you failed to question that as odd was the moment I knew I had won the game. Mind games, was it? Trying to throw me off with your eccentric ways?
So you're telling me Sholmes could see every card we'll auto-add?
What? But that's not mind games, that's plain cheating! Exactly. Ryunosuke, you're a little slow on the pickup here. My dear fellow, what an accusation! Would you honestly consider me a cheat? Please, I prefer trickster. Whatever you call it, the game doesn't count now! Understand, Mr. Sholmes? Dear me. Well, out of respect for the bad grace with which you take defeat, allow me to return your shilling. Did you hear that, Gina? So give it here.
Leave me out of this. This here one bob bit was mine from the start, no question.
No, sir. That the one bob bit was lifted from this here Bobby's pocket only a few minutes ago.
So you keep saying. Come on then, where's the evidence? The law, right? It's all about evidence. I know my stuff.
You see, Mr. Naruhodo? Use a tried excuse in court and others will parrot it. Only whenever I do say that in court, it isn't as a tried excuse, you know? As I said, sir, that coin has got my blood, sweat, and tears all over it.
That's right, it has. Rolly's blood, sweat, and tears are the evidence. Blood, you say? In that case, it's time for this.
You're gonna do the color thing, aren't you? Do you think?
Well, if there's any trace of blood on that coin,
we'll soon know about it. Momo chewed on the plastic sleeve for my vinyl. Oh! It's now holy or whole. Don't let him chew on that. It's not good for him. He's hungry. His mouth is bored. Time for the color blood test.
all right, Ginny, hold very still.
Heh, what? Look at that! See there on the coin? It's clearly changed color. In other words, there is blood on this coin. Once again, as I said, sir, that would be my blood, sweat, and tears.
Ooh, wait, I've seen blood turn that color before. Yes, I know whose it is. I know whose coin it is.
What?
Rightful owner of this bloodstained shilling is... Bruno!
Huh? Me? And from the appearance of the blood, I would say it is quite fresh. Left within the last 24 hours. Within the last... Ah, then in that case...
So, this is the coin what Sholmes had off to Odo last night in the poker game? Oh, Bruno, do you mean you really did make your gums bleed?
Look. Maybe. We don't know. I told you I was so infuriated to lose, I had to grit my teeth as I handed over the money. Oh my god, he bled all over it. That's not sanitary.
Blimey, you're as odd up as me by the sound of it. But I thought you had a proper job.
No, not really. We a student. Students be broke. Hold up. I wanna... If I do that, then I can sit more this way and be comfortable. Okay. Come on, Gina. Just hand it over, would you? The shilling that's rightfully mine.
Ah, fine, alright then. Stop your bleeding staring.
I finally have it back. It's like a dream come true.
Nearly had that one in the bag and all. Had some wonderful news, Runo. I'm so happy for you. Now then, as you promised, I'd like my money back, please. The shilling I lent you before.
God damn it.
You did say that you'd pay it back out of this month's pocket money, didn't you?
Oh, yes. Well then, I suppose. My dear fellow, do be kind to your gums.
Looks like that shilling was always destined to be taken from you, sir.
For some reason, the phrase serves you right is floating around in my head.
So, Iris, as Peppa promised, here is the shilling I owe you.
Oh, you're paying me already? Well, thank you. Next month would have been fine, though.
What's it all about, anyway? What are you lending Odo money for?
Yes, well, actually, it's because I went to the Lime Street Market yesterday to buy herbs. For Bruno.
Herbs for Odo?
Yeah, the tea Mrs. Sato left behind is top quality Yokudo tea, but it's just so bitter. So when Iris suggested mixing it with some herbs to make it more palatable, I asked her to buy me some.
That's right, we've made a special Japanese herbal tea with the leftover Gyokudo. I'm gonna call it Susie's Special Blend. I do hope you'll all try it.
The excruciating bitterness clings to the throat if you can persuade the bright green gloop to leave the cup.
Why, it sounds quite delicious.
Yeah, right.
That's cute.
Well, it would appear the shilling's brief adventures are now at an end.
Adventures?
Must agree, my dear fellow, that the coin has made a considerable journey since last night.
Let's see. Originally, it was the coin I was supposed to give Iris to pay her for the herbs, yes. But then in our poker duel last night, it passed to you, Mr. Sholmes.
Who gave to Iris the spending money?
Then I dropped it here sometime yesterday. Then my beloved Rolly found it a little while ago and picked it up.
VoD was lifted from my pocket by this here diver.
I then used my favorite gun to show up the blood that was on it.
I let slip about Sholmes' little scam in his card game last night. The annulment of which resulted in the coin returning to the ownership of Mr. Naruodo.
Allowing me to pay Iris the money I owed her after all. For the herb she'd bought in order to make Susie's special blend tea.
And now, after all that, the coin is resting safely in my pocket.
Yeah, you're right. That was an adventure. What are we supposed to take away from it, eh?
That this 1 shilling coin belongs to Iris and Iris alone, I think.
I cannot fault your observation, Mr. Naruodo.
Well, you know what they say. What goes around comes around.
Why do I get the feeling that Iris knew it was coming around to her from the very beginning? I also got that feeling, so Ryunosuke's not alone here.
Priceless, as they say. Well then, my dear fellow, how about this evening we indulge in some bitter tea and a bitter rematch? I'll even allow you to stake this coming month's spending money in advance.
I fold. Clearly, Shelms is a cheater and we should not be gambling against him. Alright, I think we will leave the last one for next time. And we will instead... Nope, that's... No. Select adventure. There we go. Alright. Alright, so this is where we need to go next. We need to start episode 2, The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokodo. But first, we're gonna take a short break. Just so that the ads get out of the way and so that I can get up and do whatever I need to do. So we will be right back, and I'll see you guys in just a few minutes. Alright, short break, get up, stretch, get some water. I'll see you guys shortly. This knife so I can shake this bitch next to me if he doesn't fucking give me back my coin. I know he took it. There was no one else there. Bro, what? Bro, what? Excuse me? Anyway, the fact remains, myself,
Mr. Stickler shouts, at which point the victim turns his head to look, and the killer fires his pistol. And that's why the bullet hit him in the right temple. No contradictions, right?
We broke something, guys. Trucy became a block of tofu. It's like tofu percent in Resident Evil. We broke her. Tofu, what are you doing in this game? Look, look. Both made by Capcom. Both made by Capcom. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And tombstone. Book! Book. Map? Book. Tombstone! Good job, us. I'm so proud of our warrior of light. Fucking tombstones. Is there no formal job training? Do they just throw you into the fire and expect you to swim? No, wait, hold on. Throw you into the ocean and expect you to swim. Sorry, got my things mixed up there. Yes, what is it?
I believe we have found the man to whom the package was intended.
Look, you can swim in fire if you believe. Blanc, can you tell me what the contents of these boxes is? Unfortunately, there's no English written on them anywhere. One cluster of boxes is written in Borginian. Here it says... Despair, funny key, scissors, leaf, eyeball, Kamehameha! It is cloth in English.
And balloon! There you have it, a stunning balloon hat! It's me, the balloon artist you all know and love, Gato Tornado! Just call me Gato, sweetie. 1, 2, balloon!
This is exactly Dr. Lupin's type of character. What a way to capture your audience's attention! I dare say I can't take my eyes off the— Alright, chat, I'm back. You guys should be back too, so good timing. Alrighty. About the name of the next case, one of the real Saseki Natsume's books is called Kokodo. Oh, very nice. You have to read it, but it's on your list. Very, very cool. I should really read some of his stuff. Actually, hold on, sorry. I had like a little fleck of something in my eye that was bugging me. Okay. Alrighty, so let's recap a little bit. So in the start of this, we were in Japan as Susato-san, pretending to be Ryunosuke's cousin. And I still have something in my eye, possibly cat here. Sorry, 1 second. It was awkward. There was an eyelash in my eye. I could see it and I had to like... I don't know if I actually got it out, but at least it's not in a spot where it's bothering me anymore. Yeah, so we were playing as Sasato-san, posing as Ryunosuke's cousin, and the original murderess from the very first case in the first game, who killed Professor John H. Wilson, was now the victim for some strange reason. There's definitely some kind of like political thing going on between Britain and Japan. I Am a Cat is really good, but just know that like most Japanese literature from that time, some of the topics are very dark. That's very fair. I did actually take a Japanese literature and film class when I was in university, and like, yeah, some of that shit's pretty dark, but it was really good. I appreciate it, so maybe I'll look into that and we can give it a read sometime. But yeah. So Saki-san was there at the last case too. He was a witness. But yeah, there's some shit going on. There's some stuff brewing. There's a lot of mysteries that we don't know anything about, so hopefully we'll get more info. I'm sure it'll all get wrapped up soon. Oh yeah, and then there was that whole fair thing, the inventions fair thing that they talked about in the last game, and they were advertising it in the omnibus in the last game as well, but then like nothing ever actually came of that, so I imagine that's gonna come up again here. All right, but let's dive in. Let's see where the game takes us. It's got 20 chapters. I mean, yeah, let's just start from the beginning. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro.
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road. As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern Exchange student from his harrowing plight, then in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night.
What?
I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas.
Did something else happen that night that I'm not aware of?
Though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
Interesting. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer, just starting out my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the very long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective who definitely thought I was guilty of murder for a while. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to awaken from slumber. Thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. You okay, buddy? What a delicious smell wafting up from the stairs. Must be nearly time for breakfast. I'd better go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite. Say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. 30th of August, 7:28 a.m. Ooh, we're in the future. Sholmes' suite.
Ah, Bruno, good. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready.
Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a surprise this morning. Shh! Not another word, Mr. Naruhodo. This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation-repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, I see. So that's it. You are very close, sir. Personal space. You're uncomfortable. Me too. I'm also uncomfortable. The truth is as clear to me as a day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, have this very morning met with a surprise. Yes, I was about to tell you that. Bro sniffed us. He did! He went sniffa at us. In our general direction and up in our face. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants an explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Rude? Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button on your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Or maybe I just barely crawled out of bed. Who knows? Maybe I'm hungry and tired. Can I talk now? But of course. Though I don't look for admiration, you understand? My hair's always like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has? And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you?
Apparently pulled your button off?
Scandal. Ah, yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped! Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder then that in my vexation, I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Oh, well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Rude. Helpful. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring.
But Hurley, Reno said it when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning.
It's true. Well, that really is a surprise. Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire, the famous consulting detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name.
Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it gets cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too. My latest special blend.
And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yep, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, as published in Randst magazine. So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you this fine morning? Well, I received a letter from Japan.
Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it? Really?
That's right, and she had some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed.
You must tell us all about it over breakfast.
Oh yes, what fun!
Ooh, time to look around. When it gets to this time of year, Londoners seem to leave their hearths alight all day long, and I love it. There's something very relaxing about watching the flames flit and dance about. Isn't it like the end of August? That's still hot where I am. I don't like it.
But a fireplace in days of summertime is a waste of space. Really no use at all. Kinda like a great detective in days of no crimes and no criminals, huh, Harley? But consider this. Instead of a fireplace, a frost place. That's my latest idea.
How? How would you accomplish this? Because I want one. It is warm.
An extraordinary hearth from which emanates a cool breeze in the hot summer months. What do you think?
I think if you invented such a thing, your name would go down in history.
The principle is extremely simple. One must, of course, light a cold fire in the hearth.
No? That's not how fire works.
Yes, of course! Brilliant! Trouble is, none of the fires I build ever burn cold. How it taunts me.
So, as you British say, it's a bit of a damp squib. We're picking up the local language. Ah, yes, the huge metal chest with the lace cloth laid on it, being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure, and firmly locked shut.
That chest contains my father's detailed records of Hurley's many cases.
Yeah, so I've been led to believe. Though personally, I've never actually seen inside.
And that's the way it will stay. Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. If you go opening it uninvited, you might find yourself being bitten.
What? Is there a beast inside there or something? You set a trap? Does it have fangs and teeth? These are different pieces of evidence from cases you've solved, aren't they, Mr. Sholmes?
Not quite, Mr. Naruhodo, not quite. These are trinkets of our selection from cases I've solved with particular aplomb. They are souvenirs of my success. Memories, Mr. Naruhodo, memories.
Really? So, tell me about the case in which the bust of Napoleon featured.
I forget.
Memories, he says. Wonderful, Mr. Sholmes, wonderful. Books, papers, scientific implements. These shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. Mrs. Sato wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She can't stand mess.
Susie might not be able to stand mess, but she wouldn't dare touch those shells.
Oh? Why not?
Everything's in intricate balance. Hurley spends ages on it. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot would come tumbling down.
How? How's that practical? Like, how would you even look at anything in there?
Susie noticed it was a very delicate arrangement right from the outset.
You make it sound like a meeting of great minds. But the truth is, Mr. Sholmes just needs to tidy up. Let's go this way. Ah, yes, Mr. Sholmes' faithful music companion. Wasn't this violin made by somebody famous? Stradivarius.
Yes, it's a Stradivarius. Though I'm afraid you'd have to save up for 100 years before you could afford one, Bruno.
But didn't you buy it for a song, Mr. Sholmes?
I found it at a pawnbrokery among the forfeited articles. It clearly said Stradivarius on the label.
What?
The ignorant broker had no idea of its true value, you see. So I paid a mere 55 shillings for it. Yes, I have something of a turn for shopping. Sherlock Sholmes, bargain hunter.
But is it really a Stradivarius then?
But of course, my dear fellow, it said so on the label.
I think perhaps the ignorant broker had something of a turn for selling. That machine really is imposing, isn't it? But I can never remember its name.
Haley calls it his great analytoscope. It can analyze anything at all.
That doesn't really help me. What does analyzing something even mean?
Ah, an extremely astute question, Mr. Naruto.
Sorry?
Well, as Iris said, my machine here spits out analysis results of anything with which you care to present it. But how to interpret those results, that's the key. And I confess I have no idea. Clearly, I'm going to have to construct a great analytoscope to solve the problem.
That might not help. You are very special, Mr. Sholmes. Don't ever change. I look forward to finding out what aroma your tea will have, Iris, every single day.
Ah, well, I infuse a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's never the same twice.
When you call it a concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment than something for tea time.
Oh yes, that's because different blends can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy. Today's particular blend is something quite special, so you're really in for a treat.
That sounds ominous. Ah, yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? What's in the melting pot today? Huh. The blue carbuncle? FF14, what?
Yeah, it's from a case of theft that Hurley solved ages ago. The theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle's another name for a garnet, you see. Especially if it's cut with a rounded top.
Oh, really? And this garnet was blue, was it? I learned something today.
Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. No blue garnets have ever been discovered.
Interesting. Oh.
So who knows what that stolen gemstone actually was? That's the real mystery of the case.
A proper Sherlock Sholmes conundrum, huh? There are so many different bottles up there on that charming little set of white shelves.
Oh, do be careful, Bruno. You mustn't try the contents of any of these bottles, even if you're hungry.
Yet another case of Ace Attorney pointing out plot holes in Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, that's pretty unusual. That's pretty funny. That's actually pretty funny. It's like, how do you have a blue garnet? No one's ever... What? That makes no sense. I wouldn't do something so stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know.
Well, I wish I could say the same for Hurley. The other day, he polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids.
How's he okay?
What? He said he was hungry.
I'll be extra careful. How's that man alive?
I can type with my eyes shut, you know.
I can believe it. When a deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun.
That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was such a funny one. It woke me actually. I was typing for a whole hour in the pitch black, but I didn't make a single mistake.
That's incredible.
But then, when it got light, I found that there wasn't any paper in the machine. Now I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all.
Investigate the shovel in Ryu and Sasato's room. You can get achievement if you do it in every case of the second game. Ooh! I will remember that. We'll have to go up there. I think you might just have fallen asleep on the job. Can I go to our room? Let's go to our room. 30th of August, Naruhodo's legal consultancy. Hello, Shovel. The office spade. Now that Susato-san's gone, the shovelers aren't represented to correct me. Maybe I'll have to do it myself. That's not a spade, Naruhodo-san, it's a shovel! There you go. There you go, Naruhodo. The kettle's gently simmering away there on the top of the stove as usual. It was kind of Susato-san to send that Japanese tea. Iris really likes it. But for me, it's the sound of the stove and burbling kettle I like the most on biting winter mornings. It's not winter, though. Susato-san's tea that she left here with me. I still think green tea is just too bitter, though. Thank goodness for sugar and milk. Mr. Shom certainly wasn't expecting the acrid taste that one time. Never heard anyone let out a scream like that before. Or seen anyone fall down the stairs quite like that either. Always brings a smile to my lips when I'm feeling a little down. He enjoys the suffering of others. Thanks for that. Wow, you fell down the stairs. That's so funny. Rude. Now, at first glance, my desk here might look as though it's a mess. However, it's not a mess at all. Everything is exactly where I want it to be. But whenever Susato-san looked at it, she'd put her hands on her hips and say, "Oh dear." Her way of saying that I should make it more orderly and make it a more orderly and neat mess. I miss that. Aww, Mrs. Susato. Ah, yes, the Daruma doll I brought with me from Japan. I always intended to color in the other eye once I'd become a fully fledged lawyer, but it's still winking at me, like it's trying to say, I can wait, take as long as you need. Or maybe not. I'll just have to keep on doing the best I can, I suppose. I never did see what Susato-san's room looks like. I could go in now, of course, but I don't dare. They say a young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets. Although from the laughter I used to hear when Iris would visit, I imagine it's mainly sweet. Look at the prawns and the anemones gently swaying around in the tank. Regular cleaning, some food, and fresh seawater is all they need, and some conversation, of course. Seemed like a lot of effort at first, but it was worth it. I'm starting to be able to tell what they're thinking. Funny to think that so many people in London had aquariums like this once, when they were in vogue. You'd never expect to find sea anemones in the middle of the capital. I think I'll have to name them soon. If you name them, you'll be attached to them forever. It's Susato-san's desk. I suppose it won't get used now that she's gone back to Japan. I'll just have to wait here patiently for its old friend to return. Aw, that's sweet. Alright. Let's go back downstairs now. Oh wait. My lodging's an office located in the attic above the suite of rooms rented by Mr. Shomes. I'd call it a consultancy, but clients aren't exactly beating down the door.
It's so quiet up in this attic without Susie around, isn't it?
The home and office of the world-famous great detective and his young companion Iris. It seems people from all over the globe come to engage in his consulting detective services.
Tell me everything, Runo. Don't worry, there's plenty to eat for breakfast.
Alright. Let's talk to the oh wait, hold on. Armband! An armband I inherited from Kazuma. It identifies the wearer as a defense lawyer throughout the Empire of Japan. Look at my armband. Oh, Mr. Shomes, about this. Shh, not another word. Ah, yes, I see. This would be a collar for a breed of miniature canine with a particularly long neck. and for winter use. Actually, it's the armband I always wear that symbolizes my role as a defense lawyer. Precisely, which leads us to but one conclusion. Your arm is in fact the particularly long neck of a miniature canine. You just hate being wrong, don't you? I'm starting to wish I'd never shown this to him now. Man's barking mad. But it's funny to show everybody your armband. Alright. Let's talk. Talk about Mrs. Sato's letter. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning by International Post.
Oh, how lovely. Look at Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it.
And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case.
Oh, really? Oh, isn't she wonderful?
A cut above your good self, my dear fellow. Excuse you, I've won cases too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do! We helped the man! Twice! You know, in those 2 cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago? Ah, the mustached twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache?
You didn't have 2 mustaches, Hurley.
Yes, you could forget those 2 cases. They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now. A very deep impression they made on you. Clearly. Let's talk about the startling news. So, what was the startling news penned by Mrs. Sato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, yes. It's very interesting, you know. And I feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. She's totally forgotten then. Anyway, in her letter, Mrs. Sato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago? For what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with that case of the haunted lodgings. Oh? On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Mrs. Sato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send that telegram.
Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. But then Hurley here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, you said. Very mysteriously as well.
Really? I said that? Are you sure? You perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Sholmes? About why Mrs. Sato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan? Mrs. Sato's repatriation. Tell me more.
It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. Such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan?
Indeed it was, due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No, it just said he was suffering from a high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse.
A ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that?
Good question. Mysteries abound, as I said. I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that? I wonder what Miss Susato's father is hiding.
Haley, do you know what it is all about?
Oh, well, who can say? What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar's quite surprisingly full today. You are dodging the question. You know something. He clearly knows something, right? That's not just me thinking it. Can't be. And a stringent analysis on the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were quite at the leisure. So, man the fort in my absence, won't you, Iris?
I will, Hurley. Don't worry. See you later.
Scuttled off rather quickly there. I'm suspicious. I think perhaps Professor Mikotoba isn't the only person hiding something here. Saseki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Sholmes. That was a concerning stutter, so we're gonna save.
Aha! I found them at last.
Iris, are they...
And notes about the case? That's right. Susie and I compiled them together. A case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Runo?
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case, but perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light.
That's the spirit.
So, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue. And have all the time in the world. Because of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. Why? Some shit happened. It was 6 months ago, a mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. The fog was thick and nobody saw her attacker, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. That man was Soseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Susato-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court. And after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilant jubilation! Was the man's reaction after the trial. But his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Hurry to Bart's at once. So Susato-san and I summoned a handsome and headed immediately to the hospital. What an interesting doll. 21st of February, 5:30 a.m. St. Bartholomew's Hospital Recovery Ward. Why is there a giant rat in the corner?
There you are at last.
Good morning, Mr. Sholmes.
I think not.
Oh!
You're late! What on earth took you so long?
Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Sholmes. It's a 20-minute ride to the hospital.
That's right, and it's 5:30 now. I think we made very good time.
The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I've been waiting for what feels like an eternity. In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy. And feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been aroused at such an hour, I sent one to you.
Well, thanks for that.
Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness.
I thought we determined it was an accident, though.
You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here.
So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back.
Her name is... Ah, yes, here we are. Miss Green.
I need to look at the rat. Hello.
Eek! A mouse, Mr. Naruhodo. An enormous mouse.
Vermin in a hospital? That doesn't seem the best.
But it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump.
I'm not sure we can say that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you were thinking. Why is there a giant rat?
That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings.
She would have been brought here directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though.
I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her.
Alright then, let's see what's inside. Change of clothes, no doubt, and we can't be snooping through there! She's right there! That's rude!
No, Mr. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings.
But the young maiden might have chocolates, or biscuits, or caramel. It's not for you, Ryunosuke! There are lots of bottles in that cabinet, aren't there? Do you think it's safe to keep them like that?
If you are a patient here, I feel sure you'd take some medicines by mistake when you're half asleep.
That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one.
Oh, I've no doubt you'd manage to unlock that somehow while you were half asleep as well.
There are limits to what even to what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Mrs. Sato. Ah, this looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feed. What is this place, a zoo?
You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park.
For the pigeons, yes. This is a person. Poor woman, I hope she hasn't read this. I mean, I'm sure there's a feeding concern since she was stabbed, but it's like, you know. Look, there's a photograph in this frame here.
Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman.
He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think?
My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart.
Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, is it? I think she's an art student.
I don't think that's a decoration, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an artist mannequin, I believe. Used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses.
Really? It's not exactly what you'd call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it?
No, I suppose not. I confess I've never seen one quite so full-figured before.
Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for the job. This must be an art piece on the floor, because there's an easel here. Good morning. Hello, I am, Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan.
Oh no! Was it your knife that... Are you the man who...
No, I'm a lawyer.
And I'm Susato Mikotoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no! Was it your knife then? Are you the one? No, I assure you. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you'd regained consciousness and wanted to come to give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is, I desperately want to be an artist.
Yo, I have a lot of friends who feel that struggle.
But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back.
I don't think that's related, actually.
Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down.
Seeing as we're here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. Not ready to talk to you yet. I was just looking around. Ah, this looks like the treatment notes for whoever's occupying this bed. Let's see. Do not permit to run around the hospital. Is this Sholmes? Was Sholmes here? Is this when Sholmes was here?
The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so...
He or she is probably running around the hospital then.
Oh dear, how worrying.
What's worrying is why they haven't discharged the patient yet. There are all sorts of medicines in this cabinet. Look! I'm not sure if it's safe leaving them in reach of everyone like this.
Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try a whole bottle or two.
Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors.
I don't imagine that would stop you if you were hungry. I worry that you'd break the lock.
Who do you think I am? Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Mrs. Sato. Rude. No confidence. Oh, we have to talk to her by looking at her. Got it. Okay. It is the only option. Alright, let's talk about the incident. To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement? What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green.
It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? Well, I've been here in the hospital, I mean.
Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly by none other than I, Herlock Sholmes. But I did the work.
Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo's hard work in court that solved the case.
Yeah, thanks, Susato. Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green?
Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming around seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have regained consciousness. It was selfish of me. What the fuck? Why would you say that?
Someone please help this poor girl.
Oh no! We're also relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really, we are.
That kind of attitude, maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. Alright, tell me about yourself. So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green?
Oh no! Oh, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really. At the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my! An Academy of Fine Arts! Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts? Oh no, actually. I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road.
I see. How very interesting.
Oh no, is it?
Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here. And Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton Town Center. Does that matter, Mr. Sholmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means? Soseki-san does fit the bill. Struck me as a somewhat out of the ordinary for a for a young fine art student to be walking around in such a district. And that's all. What's this? She suddenly clammed up.
Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself prying into a young maiden's private affairs.
How dear me, do forgive me.
If you don't mind. I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pick up my things.
Oh, yeah, of course. We won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. There, Mr. Narrow Fodder here! Mr. Narrow Fodder! Narrow Fodder now? Really? Come on, guys. Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo the lawyer, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Narrow Fodder, good! This is for you. It's a message from Mr. Saucy Nutsmeg. Soseki Natsume? What the fuck, guys? Mr. Natsume sent a message to me?
Why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume?
Exactly. What's going on? I have concerns. What's a Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? What are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh. Well, this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes, he says. Have you not seen this note? No, you took it from me! No, how could I have? It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no less. We must depart at once.
Murder?
Call a cab. Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in his lodgings once we did. It'll be entirely convenient.
Convenient? What do you mean?
It's all here in the note, my dear fellows, which, again, you took from me, so I haven't had a chance to read it. Would you mind giving that back now so I can look at it? The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Ah, God damn it. Wait, what? What?
I'll hail a fiacre at once.
Why? It was only yesterday that Saseki-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. May very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. "21st of February, 7:18 a.m. Mr. Natsume's lodgings. Ground floor. We should probably save. We're not stopping, we're just saving. Oh. What on earth? Is this your upstairs neighbor? That I see the window here is also bricked up.
Oh my! The gentleman's deceased without question. He's dead.
Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! Mr. Natsume! Oh, why? Why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court! Yesterday, I was finally home after 2 days of misery! And then I wake up the next day to this! No early bird should catch a worm like this! Woeful worm without wiggle! Poor Soseki-san. I see you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Ah! Not the horrible hairlock Sholmes! Shoo! Shove off! Show yourself the door! I never invited you! But we're friends with him, so he kind of comes with the package. Sorry.
Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume.
I am entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you? Ah, Gregson, hello. Here they are already. Busybodies. Ah, Inspector Gregson. What a pleasant surprise. Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Sholmes. Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. The man is advanced in medical science. He's ahead of his time. Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything. Or good morning to you too, Sunshine. Soseki-san looks so sad. Now let's look at the body. Oi! Side hands off! We're gonna mess up my crime scene. Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all. No chance. I know your kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it. Someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad hair in here, isn't there? Alright, it sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. Are you okay, buddy? What a terrible thing to have happened. Yeah. It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences. So the victim lived here on the ground floor and your room is one story up, isn't it? Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. So, did you know the victim? Were you friends? You never talked to him at all, did you? Why are you shaking like a leaf again? What's the matter with Soseki-san now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it? Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But did he ever invite me to his room? Never! On my honor, I swear it! What an extreme reaction.
You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yeah, kinda. When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Through that inspector over there! So we gotta talk to the inspector. And there's some shit over here too. Alright. Well, hello, sunshine. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he? Sorry, I clearly read that first and then laughed. Mr. William Shamspeare was a lodger here. Shamspeare. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. Bit of a dead loss as it happens, or just dead.
Mr. Shamspeare.
Was the landlord, old Mr. Gollydeb, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. Shamspeare's a pretty good name. I mean, this is... Capcom... Never change Capcom. Fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Gollydeb got word and kicked the door down. But doesn't Mr. Gollydeb have a bad leg? Ah, yeah, you're right there. It was that jittering Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. Really? Soseki-san? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. Even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in the house. Miserable life and a miserable end to it. So, what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it's because the fellow looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious, but I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the culprit, cohabiter. Why do you think he did it? Like, why would he even have, like, tried to kick... How does this make any sense to you? You nearly said culprit there, didn't you?
Oh dear. Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again.
It certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he?
Poor man. How unfortunate.
Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fella's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. Y'all see this? See this man? He just appeared there. Bro, what are you doing? Just posing like that. What are you doing? Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes? What are you doing? Ha! You need only observe to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating, naturally. There's is nothing natural about that pose.
Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery?
Patience, my dear madam, patience. We've not been in here in this room 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened. Only!
My goodness! But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes?
Okay, we're gonna pause real quick and let the ads play so it stops, doesn't interrupt us. Because the ads are gonna play regardless, so we might as well, like, you know, make sure it's not at a critical moment. So we will do a short break. That'll give me a chance to go to the bathroom and check on the cats and how Momo has been chewing a hole through things he shouldn't be. So we'll be right back in about 3 minutes or so-ish. All right, I'll see you guys soon. I brought this knife so I can shake this bitch next to me if he doesn't fucking give me back my coin. I know he took it. There was no one else there. Bro, what? Bro, what? Excuse me? Anyway, the fact remains, myself,
Mr. Stickler shouts, at which point the victim turns his head to look, and the killer fires his pistol. And that's why the bullet hit him in the right temple. No contradictions, right?
We broke something, guys. Trucy became a block of tofu. It's like tofu percent in Resident Evil. We broke her. Tofu, what are you doing in this game? Look, look. Both made by Capcom. Both made by Capcom. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And tombstone. Book! Book. Map? Book. Tombstone! Good job, us. I'm so proud of our warrior of light. Fucking tombstones. Is there no formal job training? Do they just throw you into the fire and expect you to swim? No, wait, hold on. Throw you into the ocean and expect you to swim? Sorry, got my things mixed up there. Yes, what is it?
I believe we have found the man to whom the package was intended.
Look, you can swim in fire if you believe. Blanc, can you tell me what the contents of these boxes is? Unfortunately, there's no English written on them anywhere. One cluster of boxes is written in Borginian. Here it says... Despair, funny key, scissors, leaf, eyeball, Kamehameha! It is cloth in English.
And balloon! There you have it, a stunning balloon hat! It's me, the balloon artist you all know and love, Gay Tornado! Just call me Gaydu, sweetie. 1, 2, balloon!
This is exactly Dr. Lupin's type of character. What a way to capture your audience's attention! I dare say I can't take my eyes off those balloons. Judge, can we talk about which balloons you're referring to? Alright, chat, I'm back. I'm back. The cat is fine. He's okay. The plastic he was chewing on is okay. We're fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, anyway. Investigating this case, and supposedly Herlock here has solved it immediately, but we'll see if that's really true.
Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way.
At the present time, I have managed to draw two incontrovertible conclusions. You are awfully close to me. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. You are also very close. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow? Why are they all like getting super up in our face this game? It's really creepy sometimes. No, don't mind me. Forget I was here. Did you see him last night? Did y'all fight? Do I need to know something? And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips. Nonsense! Alright, Mr. Nonsman, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions? No, please, pretend I'm not here. Invincible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant. Impossible to ignore. If you keep screaming like that, it makes you look very suspicious.
You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail.
But of course. Let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. Is it time? Heard some truly astonishing great deductions from Mr. Sholmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? Is it time? So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise for Sherlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Act 1. The Great Deduction! The game is afoot! Topic 1, cause of death. Hello, Shamsphere. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in the disconsolate room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. What is that reaction, Saseki-san? Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you'll observe, one half of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful? Indubitably. Okay. If that is in fact soap, that could be a reason why there are suds, foam, what have you, at the side of his mouth, and not that he was actually poisoned, but that he was eating something that is in fact not edible, not meant to be eaten. Why is this soap set so purposefully upon the dish, like the victim's last supper? In fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. Does it though? Does it though? It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. The struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap was besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Why would you be eating soap in the first place? It's not edible. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Now, personally, I have greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. What? How? What? What? Conclusion, poisoning from soap ingestion. You're not supposed to eat anyway. Just saying. That's not meant to be food, it is soap. Suicide or murder. The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. I was wondering if we were going to get both acts at once or not, and the answer was yes. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that the death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such a meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Natsume, why the fuck are you shaking like a leaf right now? Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. You mean the one from when we kicked the door down this morning? Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the solo key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with this inferior soap from whence wafted the inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on its way to the hereafter. No possible perpetrator present. Okay, well, at least you're not accusing Natsume-san, but I have concerns. Thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' great deduction. So he thinks it's suicide. Dude, I want some potato chips now. I mean fries. I want some fries right now. There's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You're disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think that man would have eaten soap? That's just weird. It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It's a curious thing, but to one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing. I don't think that would be the case, because that is not food.
How extraordinary.
In truth, I've tried a little soap myself in the past. I have so many questions for you. Why? You've eaten it, you mean?
My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. And did it?
As I writhed in agony on the floor and split the contents of my stomach?
Yes, I believe it did.
Sholmes, please!
The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous.
Sir, what the fuck? Why?
It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it.
Who in their right mind looks at soap and goes, I should eat this? Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did.
There's something that troubles me as well, actually.
Oh, what's that?
It's Mr. Natsume.
Yeah, that troubles me as well. What is going on with you, sir?
I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. Almost as if Mr. Sholmes' deductions touched a nerve somehow.
No! Nonsense! Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last.
I think, judging by Mr. Natsuma's reaction, the great detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth.
Yes, Mr. Sholmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it into an obtuse angle. Or drive it in at an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Alright then, let's see what we can do.
Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant deductions. And discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. We can do that. I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place.
I think he meant to say what he said, and we just need to correct him, because sometimes he's wrong, and he doesn't want to admit it. And you don't want to admit it either, because you're his #1 fan. But you know what? I respect it. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise for Sherlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Act 1. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. All right. All right, observing, yeah. Foam at the mouth, a deceased. Poison, he says. Next to the victim, he notices a large plate. Bar of soap, meaningful? Yep. Why is it set so purposefully? Victim's last supper. Could it be the man is about to eat it? Fork reveals the answer. There we go. Well, you can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something or about to eat something.
Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than to attempt it with chopsticks.
And of course, only half the bar of soap is left on the plate.
But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap.
Do you think he was drinking tea with the soap?
Cup's empty, so there's no way of knowing.
Ah, how about this for an idea? Perhaps the cup was full of water, and he was dissolving soap in it so he could gulp down as much as possible?
Please remember that he may not actually have been the soap lover that he's been made out to be.
I suppose you'd eat soap with a fork, would you?
I don't think it's a question of what implement you'd use. You shouldn't eat soap at full stop.
But then why? Why does the man have a fork in his hand?
Oh dear. I understand your frustration, Mr. Naruhodo, but please don't take it out on me. The point is, if we decide the man used this fork to eat the soap, he wouldn't be changing Mr. Sholmes' deduction. So we really ought to consider some other clues.
Oh, look at that. There's another piece of soap on the floor. Look, there's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Shamspeare must really have loved the stuff.
Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Naruhodo. Look closely at the soap. Do you see that it would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table?
What the? How can that be?
I think that they are two halves of the same bar that broke apart.
I think that's what we want to present. I don't see anything else to look at. Friend, he didn't eat the soap. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table, in short, the victim was not eating soap at all. But it's obvious, really, for no depths of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. But that is exactly what you were claiming earlier. I know, Momo, you're so excited. Oh, hold on, the cat wants to be on the thing again. Give me a second. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. There you go, there's the cat. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned. Because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruto, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Mr. Sholmes is still pushing the soap argument, then.
Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it.
If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I'd want to be washing my hands with it. But there's no signs of any food in this room at all.
Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it?
Contents of the plate. Where could the poison have been laced? Contents of the plate is just the soap again, isn't it?
Well, you know there's a saying in Japanese, don't you? If your food is poisoned, you might as well eat it, plate and all.
Well, there's an image. All I can picture now is the victim taking a bite of the soap and then the plate. The soap, like some tofu, and the plate, a giant rice cracker.
Oh dear, that sounds like a very bland combination.
Teacup. Yes, a Western vessel for the serving of infusions of dried tea leaves.
It's a teacup, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty.
Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea.
My thoughts exactly.
I love that glass shattering effect. It's so cool. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. There you go. Poison in the tea. Alright, suicide or murder? The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? Alright, death occurred during the victim's last supper, yep. Did he die alone? The one teacup. Ah, the Western vessel for a few infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily on our deductions so far.
Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shamsphere was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me
is Mr. Natsuma's reaction when he heard Mr. Shum suggest it. There's more to this deduction than it seems.
Let's closely examine the crime again for some more clues.
don't finish this now, I'm gonna be up super duper late. Alright, did he dine alone? Oh, he's already holding a cup. Oh, this is a second cup. This is a problem. Alright, hold on. We're gonna read this. It's empty, and it's the only cup on the table.
It would appear so, yes. And when you consider those facts, Mr. Sholmes' reasoning seems highly logical.
But it's always the same in these deductions. The real truth is always buried a little deeper than the great detective suggests.
Mr. Naruhodo, you seem very dubious of Mr. Sholmes all of a sudden.
I mean, can you blame me? He's holding a teacup. Other teacup! Hello. It's another Western vessel for infused...
It's a teacup! And it too is empty.
Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand, we can assume that this is the cup from which Mr. Shamspeare was actually drinking. But if that's the case, this changes everything. Everything we've deduced up to now is turned on its head. I have a bad feeling about this. I almost don't want to say it. I assume Natsume was down here, drinking tea with him last night, and now he's gonna get suspected, and we're gonna have to bail him out.
Yes, I know exactly how you feel.
Take that!
Alright, here we go. Did the man dine and die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's last supper, there was a guest present. At the very least, we can say now with certainty that somebody else was here in this room last night, taking tea with the victim. Oh, what are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. You mean to say you know exactly who was in this room at the time of the victim's death? Sorry, Soseki. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now.
I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap.
But the identity of the guest who was in here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about.
Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo.
I suppose not. Time to look around again.
Oh dear, the latch is most definitely broken, isn't it? The door was kicked in by Mr. Natsume, according to what Mr. Garideb told the inspector.
Who knew his short, thin little legs had so much strength in them?
I'm not sure the length of his legs is in any way significant here.
Perhaps this says more about the poor state of the door than about Mr. Natsume's strength, actually.
Careful. If you overheard that remark, you'd almost certainly have a lively response.
Oh, there goes the cat. I don't know. Can this broken lock really tell us anything about who was here? Empty bottle.
It's empty.
Empty of liquid, but full of air. That makes you think, doesn't it?
Makes me think that you're full of hot air. We should be thinking about who else was in the room at the time.
Bother, Susato-san's quip in response was cleverer than my original riddle. Pile of books. At first glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read... The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Yearnings, and... A Meal for Gaboriau. Those are the books that Natsume-san checked out. Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. It could just be an incredible coincidence, but... They're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed. So Seki-san had just been to a bookshop and bought them, that's right. And now those 3 titles are here in the room of the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims never to have been here before. But what does this mean, do you think, that he was here? Obviously. I really don't know what to make of it. Pile of familiar books. Oh look, a candle. Even Mr. Shamspear didn't eat candles, it seems. We've already established that he didn't eat soap either. Ah, do you think perhaps the guest brought the candle here last night? Even if he or she did, does it reveal anything about the guest's identity? No. Good point. There goes my idea. Stuffed out like that candle will be. You sigh so deeply, Mr. Naruhodo, you're in danger of blowing out the flame. That's our light source. Don't do it. Alright, it's clearly the books.
Take that!
Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at a secondhand bookshop. That's just a coincidence! In that case, you'll be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment. No! Never! Non-negotiable! You can't bring your own copies here. It proves that these 3 books are, in fact, yours. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Look at him dance. That's pretty funny. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there's only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in this room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor was you, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Cannot deny. Thus concludes the final act of Airlock Sholmes' great deduction. Soseki Natsume at the scene. I don't like this. Why did we do this to the poor man? Dude, you could have just said that you brought it in when you busted the door open. I don't know. Not again. Not again. Not again. Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume. It would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard. Again. But wait! What's this? Yes? Door, key, locked, entry, exit, entirely impossible. He's so flustered, he's being even stranger than normal. What? You think that's an alibi? Could have just made a copy. What? We live in the same building after all. You'd have plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. But... Misery me! Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache. You horrible Lock Sholmes! He really found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but... You have to help me! Please! Please, I'm innocent! Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing. Oh, yes? My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me! Wagahai? No worries, I got you. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken, so Seki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. It's true, it does. We did this to him. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson's no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now.
Yes, that's right. And of course.
What?
Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garidub, who discovered Mr. Shamspear.
Ah, Mr. John Garidub, yes.
I expect we could find him in his sitting room on the top floor, as usual.
Right, we must remember to go and talk to him later, then. Let's look around. Hello, dead body!
Oh, the poor man. So young to die. You suppose it was a very painful death, being poisoned as he was?
I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder. You think that putting our hands together in a Japanese prayer will help a British soul?
Sorry?
I made sure I had a reference at the ready for just such an occasion as this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way. I'll just reread it now. One moment.
There's quite a spine on that book, isn't there? His hat's on the floor. What's this?
What's this?
Looks like a part of an envelope, I think.
Yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened.
Is that significant?
Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of a letter or the rest of the envelope in fact, is there?
Ah, she's right.
And yet, here we have the torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual.
I agree. We'd better take this just in case. Torn off end of an envelope. A ripped piece of an envelope that was found in Mr. Shamspear's room. The rest of the envelope could not be located. That's gonna come in handy later when we try to look for a suspect.
There's not much on these shells, is there? Just this wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked.
Yeah, not much use, are they? What's the matter?
Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all.
Oh, and how he keeps breaking wine glasses? Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Prosecutor Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes, he's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste and that he should donate some to the needy.
You could suggest it next time we meet. Look at these extravagant, bright costumes. Somehow they look out of place in this room with its grim, shady goings-on.
This one looks like a king's attire.
A king? I always dreamt of being a king.
Oh, I think you'd be more suited to a feudal lord. A daimyo or such like.
Oh, that's very flattering, thank you. With a chonmage top knot? Every Japanese man wishes he had a chonmage.
Oh, you'd look wonderful with one. And you already have the sword.
Can you imagine what would happen if I walked around on the streets of London with a chonmage and a sword?
As we've seen from the outside, the window's completely bricked up. A vestige of the former window tax that Britons had to pay.
What strange things they used to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had in property? It's extraordinary.
It's heartbreaking to think of the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax. Oh!
What is it, Mrs. Sato?
You look closely. A number of these bricks are loose.
That could be a way out. Oh yeah, it looks as though an amateur has broken out a few of them just here. And there's soap there. Was it Mr. Shamspeare who did it, I wonder? Being the lodger renting this room.
Look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something on it.
What? Outside?
It's so cold outside. You can feel it through this gap.
It did snow all last night. It would be cold. But more importantly, what is that on the ledge out there? What are those? Snow-covered lumps? No, it looks like more soap.
It's more bars of soap.
Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window?
I have no idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that.
Still, that's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined up outside the window? I think perhaps we should take one. There are two after all.
Oh dear. I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look here at this soap.
Ah.
Do you see in the middle there? There's a patch that's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but...
Some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain. Or a place to keep poison.
It looks like the Hinomaru of Japan... Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. It's probably a very expensive brand.
Or a vehicle to carry poison. Expensive? Then what's it doing in this ramshackle old room? A cheap bar of soap that was discovered just outside Mr. Shamspeare's window. It's one of two that were found there. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind.
Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins.
Ah, I see. Yes, now that you pointed it out, I can see that there's a slot just here and that it looks like it would take a coin. And we've seen this before in Mr. Natsume's room. So you mean if you put a coin in here...
That's right. That would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating.
So if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold?
Yes, or if you were a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money in the bank.
Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. That's fucked up. This is a gas wall light, isn't it? Must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall.
Gas lights, a gas stove. London really is a city of gas.
Now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Garideb had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they?
Oh yes, you're right about that. I don't recall seeing a gas stove up there.
Well, I much prefer a real fire anyway. It's so much closer. Cozier, sorry.
It's some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it?
Where does the audience sit, though, for the nightly Shakespeare performances?
Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office.
What?
Then you could practice your art every single day.
I'll think about it, if you promise to don a beard and play the role of the judge.
Well, if that would help you achieve your goal.
This I have to see. She's so wholesome sometimes, like, she just earnestly wants to help, and that's very nice. I think we've looked at everything. I think that's all we're gonna see here. New location. Alright, just reading everything. Miss Green's hospital bed. The hospital bed in Bart's that's occupied by Miss Olive Green, who sustained a serious injury during the incident on Briar Road.
Poor Miss Green seems to be very tired, I think. Perhaps we should leave her be for a while.
And then shows the suite.
The workplace of the world's greatest detective. Oh, it's a dream come true.
Briar Road, the scene of a stabbing of Miss Olive Green. It's a fairly wide street that easily accommodates carriages lined on both sides by tall brick townhomes.
This is where poor Miss Green was struck down. What a relief that she's going to be all right.
The Garideb's room, the suite on the top floor of the house where Mr. Natsume has his lodgings, occupied by the landlord, Mr. Garideb, and his wife. The window looks out over Briar Road below.
You know, I don't believe we visited this place for some time.
Prison cell where the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is being held. He's spending so much time in it, he'll have to start calling the place home soon.
Oh dear me. It seems they must still be questioning poor Mr. Natsume.
Let's start with the Garideb's room. #21st of February, the Garideb's room. Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode.
We're here because Mr. Garideb's the one who discovered the incident this morning. Don't forget.
Ha, you chaps, eh? Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Garideb as anyone, really. Came straight back here after all that business at the Bailey yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to more bally nonsense this morning.
I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Garideb.
Yes, I suppose you'd like to know all about that dead loss of an actor chap on the ground floor room. Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words, weren't they? Alright, let's look around a bit. Good to see Mr. Garideb's Medal of Honor still proudly displayed on the wall and straightened out.
The inscription reads for distinguished participation, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember, because I remember thinking even I might stand a chance of picking up honors like that. Wouldn't know it to look at me now, perhaps, but I had my devil-may-care days, you know? Devil-may-care? What'd you get up to? Well, all in the past now, of course. And best left there. Best not, I want to know now!
That's your military uniform, isn't it, Mr. Garideb?
Well, ceremonial garb, yes. Been hanging on the wall ever since my retirement bash. Not an active service now, you know. Doesn't mean much to me anymore. You can have the old thing if you wanted it.
Well, it might suit Lord Van Zeeks, perhaps. An overly ostentatious outfit like this could be just what he needs.
Very tactful, Miss Usato. Very tactful indeed. The cannon with the apron on it. There's a single apron drawing on that enormous cannon-shaped clothes horse. Look.
No, Mr. Naruhodo, that's a real cannon.
I knew that. I was just testing you. Piece of history, that is. Seen plenty of action on the battlefield, I can tell you. Now the old girl and I are just enjoying the peace and quiet of retirement together. And, of course, she'd come in handy if the enemy decided to launch an attack again. Is there a war going on that I don't know about?
Oh, a copy of Rand's magazine. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes is being read all over London. Isn't that wonderful?
Naturally, one asks oneself if such a singular detective could really exist. You've met him! But having met the chap, it's undeniable. He is most certainly singular. Singularly dangerous. There. That's genuine public opinion for you, Miss Susato. Perhaps it could be reflected in the stories?
Make no mistake, Mr. Naruhodo. I intend to snuff out the sort of public opinion we just heard personally.
I'm starting to see where Mr. Shum's untainted reputation comes from now. That's from people like her who cover for him. We know what this screen is hiding now. The aftermath of the fiery altercation the other day. Don't suppose I'll be able to clear that mess up for some time now.
Oh dear, this must be a very difficult situation for you.
I'll say, people talk about twists of fate and whatnot. And this is a twist and a half, rotten show all around. He's clearly struggling with everything that's happened. Yeah, it's, Mrs. Garideb was like, thinks he's cheating. Because he bought a book and then there was a note in it. That's an impressive collection of cakes on that fancy silver cake stand over there.
I feel sure that it was full of cakes when we first investigated in here as well.
Yes, quite right. I haven't touched it since. Haven't done much at all, really, since it all happened. Time's rather stood still for me, you know.
Oh!
Time has stood still? Now that's an interesting phrase. I might be able to use that excuse when I'm next supposed to be tidying the office.
You could just tidy up, Mr. Naruhodo.
Like, I should really just shift it. Ah, there's the cracked pot. These shells look like they've been completely torn apart by a wild beast. Reminds me of the Battle of Maiwan, don't you know? Ah, the experiences of a seasoned veteran. Enemy had us surrounded on all sides. We really thought we were done for, the whole bally company. We were taking a real pounding from their cannons, so all we could do was run for our lives. Oh, I thought that story was going in a different direction, actually. Well, the whole experience taught me one thing, I can tell you. When you're done for, you're really done for. That's not what a lawyer who often finds himself under fire wants to hear. Ah, the window. There's a good view over the wintry East End from up here. It's an impressively gray scene. There's nothing really comparable in Japan. Down below, Briar Road, partly blanketed in snow.
The pavement where poor Miss Green was struck in the back by that knife.
Thinking about it, this is the only room in this building that actually has a window to the outside world. Sometimes Great Britain really does seem like a strange land, doesn't it?
Suppose all foreign cultures seem strange at first.
True.
Imagine how an Englishman would feel on arriving in Japan and seeing people with a chonmaga topknot.
Well, that's a good point. Alright. Hey, you want to look at my my armband? Mr. Gardeb, could I show you this? In quite a couple of days, as you can imagine. I'm afraid I'm rather tired. I haven't really got the energy in the old eyeballs, to be honest with you. Some other time, then. Alright, we'll talk to him now. This morning's incident. Must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what had happened. Ah, well, that hopeless actor chap rises at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, he still hadn't lit the gas. I went down and knocked on his door, but no body answer.
And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door?
Well, I called on that rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour.
That's very true, Mr. Naruhodo. 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior. I'd have to kick your door down every morning.
Please don't. Well, you know, better be safe than sorry and all that. Is it just me or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden?
Except that it was a sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door.
Let's talk about Mr. Shamspear. The victim's name is Mr. Shamspear, I believe. Is that right? Yes, William Shamspear. Took the ground floor room 3 months ago now.
And how would you describe him?
In a word, destitute.
Destitute?
Well, let's face it, the only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a body screw loose. So hard to choose which category Saseki-san would fall into. That's a little mean, but...
Sir Naruhodo, that's a little rude.
See? He was doing research as well. Research into what? Shakespeare, of course, Shakespeare. Write a few plays of the old bard myself, you know, Romeo and Hamlet and all that.
Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and actor. He's known as Sao in Japanese, you know. Many of his works have already been translated.
Seems incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sao, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There were a lot of costumes in the victim's room, actually, weren't there?
Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shamspeare would have had much in common.
Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that.
Mr. Naruhodo, really? How rude.
Yesterday's events. After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well, now, must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavily as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out at the time. Mr. Gardeb noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose. Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. It was after 8 before Shamspeare got back. And the chap was up until past 1 in the morning, and I'll have you know. Suppose he met his end sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there. Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is everything all right, Mrs. Sato?
Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Gardeb, you were up here in your room all evening, if I've understood correctly?
Not a big fan of stairs, not with this blasted leg.
Then, how is it that you seem to know? The precise movements of your tenant on the ground floor, I mean.
Oh, that's a good point. Ah! That's a very good point. I can't imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it? I say, I know what you're thinking, and it's bloody outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I?
And how did you know, Mr. Gardeb?
It's the gas, woman. The gas tells me everything. The gas? Speaking gas? What on earth do you mean, sir? How can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything? Well, ad starting. Okay, hold on. Well, quick break. Hold that thought. We'll let the ad play so that y'all don't get stuck in it mid-conversation. That would be awkward, right? All right, hold on. Be right back. I brought this knife so I can shank this bitch next to me if he doesn't fucking give me back my coin. I know he took it. There was no one else there. Bro, what? Bro, what? Excuse me? Anyway, the fact remains, myself,
Mr. Stickler shouts, at which point the victim turns his head to look, and the killer fires his pistol. And that's why the bullet hit him in the right temple. No contradictions, right?
We broke something, guys. Trucy became a block of tofu. It's like tofu percent in Resident Evil. We broke her. Tofu, what are you doing in this game? Look. Both made by Capcom. Both made by Capcom. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And tombstone. Book. Map. Book. Tombstone! Good job, us. I'm so proud of our Warrior of Light. Fucking tombstones. Is there no formal job training? Do they just throw you into the fire and expect you to swim? No, wait, hold on. Throw you into the ocean and expect you to swim? Sorry, got my things mixed up there. Yes, what is it?
I believe we have found the man to whom the package was intended.
Look, you can swim in fire if you believe. Blanc, can you tell me what the contents of these boxes is? Unfortunately, there's no English written on them anywhere. One cluster of boxes is written in Borginian. Here it says... Despair, funny key, scissors, leaf, eyeball, Kamehameha! It is cloth in English.
And balloon! There you have it, a stunning balloon hat! It's me, the balloon artist you all know and love, Gay Tornado! Just call me Gaydu, sweetie. 1, 2, balloon!
This is exactly Dr. Lupin's type of character. Alright, chat, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's get the game music back on. There we go. Hey, you guys had a good break. I got to stretch a little bit, so that was very nice for me. My trapezius is always a little bit tight. It's like it's like a kind of like a diamond shape, like in your muscles in your back. Like it's like your shoulders and upper back and your neck, and like it's always very stiff. I've heard from like other streamers as well that like that's just a problem area when you are at your computer a lot, and that makes sense. So yeah, it was a nice stretch, nice break for me. I kind of like that, like, because we're following the manager to like make sure that ads don't pop up at a bad time, that gives me a chance to stretch. That's like kind of nice, you know what I mean? Anyway, let's play the game. So how can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything? Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes. Yeah, that more or less worked that out.
Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside.
And the gas company supplies gas to properties via the main.
Yeah, I understand that too. Let me see if I can explain. Let's see. Let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen? Well, obviously the room would get brighter. Exactly, but at the same time, the lights in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment. What? They dim? Why?
Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual. And that reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it? That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, mightn't it?
Yeah, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe. That makes sense.
Is that supposed to happen, though? It sounds rather undesirable.
Jolly good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite's also true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up here and they glow brighter in the rest of the house. Ah, right, I see. So, by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere. You've got it.
Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening, and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out their lamps and fires.
Clever. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it use slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights in here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house.
Gosh! That's fascinating, Mr. Garideb. Absolutely fascinating.
Oh, well, nothing to it, really. And I can't really see that it's going to help us with the case either. Might have just been you, but your internet blipped. I didn't see anything. I think I'm okay. Seems to be stable. Which didn't tell me anything. Neither did OBS, so. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Garideb is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. That does seem kind of weird. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. You wanna... Whoever opened this envelope didn't bother with a letter opener or scissors, did they?
Yes, whoever opened it was clearly someone with an unrefined temperament. And judging from the angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been right-handed.
Susato! I think perhaps someone's been reading too much of the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes.
You can never read too much of it, Mr. Naruhodo. Never!
Wanna look at this? Nope, okay. Same thing you said before. I might as well look at our stuff, though. Bar of soap.
This part is a different color. It's an exquisite design, isn't it?
Trust the British to turn a boring bar of soap into something special.
I quite like it. It reminds me of the Hinomaru design of the Japanese flag. I expect this is rather expensive soap.
That doesn't seem likely, given who it belongs to. Wanna tell me about the soap? Nope, okay. His eyes are too tired to look at anything. Alright, well. That was a thing. Let's go look at Briar Road. 21st of February, Briar Road. With the exception of the top floor where Mr. and Mrs. Garideb live, all the windows are bricked up.
Yes, that's because of an old window tax that was charged on the number of windows a property had. In order to pay less tax, the poorer members of society filled in many of their windows.
But the tax has since been abolished, hasn't it? So the windows could all be opened up again, surely.
Unfortunately, it would appear that the residents of this district can't afford to pay to have the work done.
Ooh. Yeah, that is a sad state of affairs.
Especially for people like more poor Mr. Natsume, who have to live all cooped up in a windowless room.
I suppose that's the price you pay for living in a very cheap accommodation.
It all seems rather pointless when you put it like that.
The Garideb household and Mr. Natsume's lodgings are in a prominent position there on the corner. Sometimes when I look at the building, I can't help feeling that it's a bit of a slant.
It does rather look as though it would collapse even in the smallest earthquake, doesn't it?
Yeah, specifically that part right there where, like, this support thing on the corner is, like, kind of coming out. Yeah, that's not great. And isn't it supposed to be haunted as well? I think I might have a hunch as to why Saseki-san is such a hunchback.
There always seemed to be a bicycle outside the Garideb residence. I read that bicycles are extremely popular all over Great Britain in the moment, in fact.
That one seems very warped, though, especially the front wheel. We talked about this in the escapade. Does that to make it more of a challenge to ride, do you think?
No, I'm afraid that may be a result of the rider's incompetence.
Rude.
For the front wheel to be so badly warped, I'm afraid the rider may have been similarly afflicted.
Then there's a good chance Mr. Natsume has been practicing on this bicycle, I think.
Oh dear, I fear you may be right.
So sad. That poor man. London's blanketed in fog again today, and the sky is covered in cloud. But if you look carefully in the distance, you can just make out the Crystal Tower being built.
Ah, the Crystal Tower, yes. The centerpiece of the great exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time.
I have a feeling that's going to become a thing in this game. Everyone's talking about the Great Exhibition of London at the moment, it seems.
Well, it's supposed to be the largest event of its kind anywhere in the world, with technology and scientists from all over. I can't wait for it myself.
Ooh, she's not going to be here, probably. Actually, she might come back. Do you think visiting students from the Far East like us will be granted entry?
The last great exhibition that was held in London had more than 6 million visitors, it seems. And this time the British are determined to make it an even bigger success to outdo the Paris exposition.
I see. That's an incredible number of people. And with so many people expected to attend, we should be able to slip in unnoticed.
There's always the honest approach of buying tickets at the main entrance, Mr. Naruhodo.
True. Don't be rude. Alright, so what's going on over here? Hey, Mr. Snowman. Why somebody built the snowman on some sort of pedestal, do you think?
It's not a pedestal, Mr. Naruhodo. That's part of the snowman's body.
Really? But it already has a perfectly good body.
Well, it's true that British snowmen are usually made with 2 balls of snow. Perhaps this is a foreigner.
And now we're looking at him as if he's strange. Poor man, I know how he feels.
If anything, it's Japanese and British 2-ball snowmen that are the strange ones, isn't it? After all, real people do have 3 sections: head, torso, and legs.
Do you ever think that perhaps you think about things too much? I guess we should go see Mr. Natsume now. Alright, here we go. 21st of February, local prison, cell 9. Oh, he's not here. Where are you supposed to go then? Back on the suite. 21st of February, Sholmes' suite. Whoa. That was weird. We can look at everything. I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in the country, in fact. Although, I do yearn for a Japanese kotatsu. Putting your legs under a warm, blanketed table is so comforting. True.
Do be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't mistakenly put your feet into the fire, will you?
Who would do that?
You'd suffer terrible burns, you know.
Who do you think I am? I worry sometimes about how Susato-san sees me. Look at all these mementos of Mr. Sholmes' past cases. You know, Miss Susato's eyes still sparkle every time she lays eyes on them.
But yours don't, do they, Runo?
Well, I have read The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes now by order of Miss Susato. But the trouble is, having seen the real thing in action, somehow the stories don't quite ring true for me.
Well, he does solve the cases in the end.
I suppose so, but there's more to the great detective than meets the eye. It's curious how this enormous metal chest is being used as a coffee table. And even more curious to think that Iris's father's notes about Mr. Sholmes' case are inside it.
You mustn't look in there, Runo. Those notes are a secret between Daddy and me.
And Mr. Sholmes isn't somehow in on the secret?
Apparently tends to forget, you see. As soon as he solved a case, in fact. Once when he read one of my manuscripts, we had a terrible argument about it. Never have I solved such a case, he said. He was absolutely adamant.
Sometimes I wonder if he's from another planet, don't you? There's all sorts of things on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high, I can't help feeling that the whole lot is going to topple at any moment.
It looks as though it might topple, and yet it doesn't. The epitome of Mr. Sholmes' brilliance.
I don't get it. As it happens, I'm quite well practiced when it comes to stacking shelves myself. Just the other day, the shelf in my office finally gave way under the strain, though.
It looks as though it might topple, and it does. Yes, the epitome of your disarray.
I really don't get it. It is an art form to be functionally disorganized, okay? This is Mr. Sholmes' famous violin. The one he found being sold for a song at pawnbrokery. What's it called again? A show to something?
Oh yes, this wonderful instrument features in The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. It's a world-famous Stradivarius.
What?
Stradivarius, Mr. Naruhodo.
Stragivor...
Are you even trying now?
We'll come back to this another time, I think. This enormous machine takes up the entire desk, doesn't it? It's really very imposing.
Ha! Hurley's great analytoscope, yes! It can analyze anything at all, you know.
But I've never seen anyone actually using it.
Well, it's his invention, so I don't know how to operate it.
If he invented it, why doesn't he know how to read it? Why do you get to analyze its own operation, then?
Ooh, Runo, you're razor sharp today, aren't you?
It always strikes me how pretty and neatly arranged this tea set is.
It's my favorite one. In fact, I think it's high time for afternoon tea. Wait there. I'll fetch the special blend that I prepared for today.
Oh, Iris, you do love your tea, don't you? She looks so happy at the prospect.
And after you've drunk it, I'll collect some experimental data, if that's all right.
What? Just, what is she about to make me drink? Ah, yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? So what's on the blackboard today? Buck up, Runo. What is this?
Oh, I'm just playing around with ideas for the title of the next month's installment. Another idea I had was the barrel coronet. I'm really torn about which one to use. What do you think, Runo?
Anything but buck up, Bruno, obviously.
I suppose you're right. I tell you what, I'll surprise you with it. You'll have to wait until next month and see.
So many sleepless nights. That's a charming little white shelf, and full of charming little bottles, too.
Oh yes, but don't touch any of those. They might explode.
Ah, a charming shelf full of charming bottles full of charming ingredients.
You know, Hurley mistakenly drank from one of them the other day. What? How? I think he was lucky, though. He hasn't exploded yet. Chemistry can be a very hazardous occupation.
It's living with Mr. Sholmes that's the hazardous occupation, if you ask me. If I remember correctly, this large and imposing lump of iron is called a typewriter.
I think that every single one of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes blossomed from this very machine. Ah, it's such a dreamy thought.
I actually had a go on it the other day. The metal bars that move when you hit the keys got all tangled up somehow, and that made Iris angry. How did you fuck it up?
Mr. Naruhodo. You're ruining my dreamy thoughts. Please don't do that again.
Now I've made Susato-san angry as well. Iris? That's incredible concentration, that is.
I find it quite remarkable how she can focus on so many different things at once.
Perhaps I should try drinking more herbal tea.
A blend third from the right would be good for you, Runo.
Oh, Iris? This girl is destined for great things, I'm sure. Alright, that's enough of this. Let's check on Miss Green, I guess? Nope. Are we supposed to get more out of... Maybe we're supposed to get more out of Mr. Garideb somehow? I don't know. We're missing something somewhere, clearly. Maybe I can just show you everything until you see something. Until you say something, rather. Nope. Not this one. Maybe the street map? Nope. Well... We already talked to him about everything. Did I miss something somewhere? Oh, what's this? You look very dashing in your uniform there, Mr. Garideb. Ha, that old portrait, eh? Drawn by an art student who used to rent the room downstairs.
Oh, you look so wonderfully young and courageous and strong.
Yes, well, the chap presented it to me one day and asked if I'd let him off the month's rent in return. Oh, I see. So you did, presumably? I Bollywell did not.
Oh.
Portrait is a portrait, but rent is rent. Eh? Yet it's still there proudly on the wall. Oh, he said A? And the mortar shells? Ah, yes, those enormous mortar shells. It's quite something seeing them up close, isn't it?
Didn't you say something about firing them into the barracks, Mr. Garideb?
Ha, you remember, do you? Just a little mishap that occurred during training one day. What are you doing firing on your old men? The captain bellowed at me. I'm not surprised. A little mishap doesn't really do it justice, does it? Well, one has these little incidents when one's a hot-headed young private. Perhaps I should put some evidence that resulted from one of my little mishaps on display.
Oh, does the great lawyer, like the great detective, wanted to exhibit some trophies of his finest moments?
I mean, maybe. Why not? Tea cakes, window. I mean, I already got all the conversations I can out of you, and I've tried to show you everything. I had to have missed something somewhere. Nope, not here. Garideb's room is where we just were. Looking around outside again. I don't think we missed anything. We even got the snowman conversation. Did we miss something in Shamspeare's room? Gas meter, lamp. Oh, the cup.
Ah, one of the teacups that Mr. Shamspeare and his guests drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Naruhodo. There's bitter poison inside.
I'm not planning on drinking any, don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty.
That's true. So, one was Mr. Shamspeare's, and the other must be the cup that Mr. Natsume was drinking from.
But Soseki-san wasn't poisoned, of course. Perhaps we should take these so we can examine them in more detail later. The teacups used by Mr. Shamspeare and Mr. Natsume. The one with green line around the rim was Mr. Natsume's. Looks like you're having a good snoop around, eh? Is this Sholmes or who? Oh, nope. Inspector Gregson. Inspector Gregson, but back so soon? Right through that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigation division. 5 minutes time, this place will be cordoned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we'd better be leaving then.
Poor Mr. Natsume must be feeling very low being back in his cell again so soon.
I'm sure. We should probably go and... He's not dead! He's not dead! He moved!
What's wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
Out! Out, brief candle! Lies but a walking shadow, a poor player. That struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Now, how soundeth the next part? A tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. How are you so calm? Because our dead body is no longer dead? Did nobody actually bother to check that if he was just passed out or anything? Indeed! Oh, happy day! Oh. What? Walking Dead! He ragged on. What is up? Your leg! My dude! You okay? How do you bend that way? What? Fella isn't dead at all? What was that nonsense he was saying, though?
I think... Yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5.
Shakespeare? So it was that the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare, came back to life. If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment, and Inspector Gregson evicted us from the scene of the crime. Whatever that now was. Who the hell are you? 21st of February, Briar Road.
Whatever do you think will happen now?
Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume. Arrested for murder, but then the victim comes back to life?
I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place.
I think they should have checked, right?
Seems very likely that Mr. Shamspear did consume poison as we deduced. But was it an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody.
I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cells. Oh, what's this? Who are you? Why are you looking at the soap out there? What's that man doing over there? It looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings.
Something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
Excuse me, could we have a word? Ah! He looks like a bee. And he's gone. He just ran off.
Feels sure that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it?
Huh. I did too, but I don't remember. Well, done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again?
A good idea.
And dude just booked it. Alright, well... to the prison. You okay, buddy? 21st of February, local prison cell 9.
Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now?
Welcome, student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! Oh, yes? What is he? Tell me, is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me? Let me guess, you're talking about Mr. Sholmes?
He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsume, not a ghost.
But his diabolical deductions are out of this world. They've left me. Cursed! I'm cursed, I tell you! Well, that sort of hurts.
Credit to where credit is due, Mr. Naruhodo. You were heavily involved in the deduction, too.
Yeah, moving on, we have some wonderful news!
Oh. The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again.
I don't think that's gonna help him feel better, because now he's gonna think the victim's also a ghost. Now, in the absolutely worst case, you could only be tried for attempted murder. That's, great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume? It's terrible!
Oh.
I'm stuck in this cell, suffering for some silly, wrong end of the stick! You did it, didn't you? Confess, you're a killer! Why the mustache? Constant questions! I'm sorry to hear that. That selfish shyster! Make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you are going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly wishy-washy William! Well, it seems that Mr. Shamspear was never actually dead in the first place. Ah, yes, that might make sense. And I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think it was our last.
Oh.
Oops. Mr. Natsume, does this mean that you did in fact see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shamspear, didn't you? You might want to just tell me the truth so I can be your lawyer properly. I'm not saying another word! I demand to have a lawyer present! I am your lawyer. What the fuck, man? Who do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story. I cursed like this. My dude, I'm gonna show you my armband for funsies. Have I shown you this before, Mr. Natsume? Oh, yes. The sweet, sweet aroma of our beloved homeland. It shows the wearer as a defense lawyer. It means nothing in Great Britain, of course, but I still wear it. Oh, I know exactly how you feel, locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire. My Haramaki belly band! I don't feel right without it! Your Haramaki belly band? It's perfect for the cold English winters. Does the thing to keep my tummy warm. Yes, I see the link. Almost. Alright, let's talk. What happened? Can you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume? There's nothing to tell! But, Mr. Naruto Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that accursed case yesterday. The case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back?
It's hard to believe that was only yesterday.
After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lowly lodgings. And that evening, at past 9 it must have been, I visited Mr. Shamspeare. So you did go to the victim's room then?
As we feared.
I didn't do anything wrong! I'd never been to his room before! It was the first time! Then what made you decide to go? I bumped into him when I had arrived back at the house. We got chatting and it developed into a discussion. He had to go out, so I bade him farewell. That ties in with what Mr. Gardeb said. The victim went out and came back after 8. Met again later that evening at around 9 or just after when I took him some nice tea I'd brewed as a gift. So it was you who brought tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then?
And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet! Who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate. I'm sure. Such a stimulating subject, Shakespeare! And the debate became very heated, so you slipped poison in Mr. Shamspeare's tea? No! Never! Not at all! Team Juliet won! That was me! And when I left his room, that flamboyant fellow was fighting fit, I swear it! Categorically! Okay, let's talk about your cursed existence. Mr. Natsume, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. That you have a cursed existence. I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now, and in the time I've learned that this is no place for me.
It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture.
There are foreigners everywhere I look. They all stare at me. They all laugh. That's the impression I get whenever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I become a recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I've moved more times than I can remember. And then 1 week ago, I moved into Briar Road. But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? It doesn't seem very comfortable. Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money, it spoke to me.
The rent?
Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed. Cursed? Cursed how? Previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there.
Oh no!
He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one could explain why. Surely no one would want to live in a room with a history like that. Was it a gas leak, maybe? I didn't. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered. I want books! And books cost money! A horrible history is a small price to pay! When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I signed the lease like lightning. Brave or blinkered? But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I had done. I realized how horrible that room's history really was.
Gosh, was it really so awful?
Horrible history. Let's talk about it.
How did the room's horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened?
At first it was just a feeling. The feeling of beady eyes boring into my back, watching me. Do you think that might have just been your mind playing tricks on you? No. My mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to the place. A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean? All the souls who died in that room lean over me in my sleep and try to strangle me. That really is horrible. And now I come to think of it, it happened again last night, too. The very same night that Mr. Shamspeare was writhing in agony, the poison in his body. I was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room.
You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible.
Yes, you're right. I know it. That's why. I'm already searching for the next room with a history to call home.
I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodation with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history.
Whew, Sasato-san knows how to make the man listen. Of course. Mr. Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse on my room as well. You mean Mr. Garideb? Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again. Well, that's true. I, for one, wouldn't go near the place.
Perhaps that may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to the gas lamps and his tenants' movements.
You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seem to have an unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in the pipes. There must be a reason why he keeps such a close tabs on the occupants of his let rooms. What do you mean he pays so much attention to the gas lamps?
Oh dear. No, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please forget I said anything.
Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well. What's important is that Mr. Shamspeare isn't in fact dead at all. Once he's come round and he's able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released. Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right. Excuse me? Ah, Inspector Gregson. I couldn't help overhearing what you just said, and on that note, I have some good news and some bad news. Oh. Which do you want first? Always, every time, the bad news comes first. We'd had this whole conversation in the last game, too. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle. Right, well, in that case, the good news it is. Sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way. Then why did you ask me my preference? As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, was just unconscious. He's come around now. Yes, we saw it happen in all its terrifying glory. He's still being treated by the doctors, but we've managed to get a written statement from him already.
Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsume?
Oh, thank goodness. It's all over then. I can leave this somber cell. He's probably accusing him, right? Sorry, no. That's not in the cards. But why ever not, Inspector? The Shamspear has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night. Implicated someone? Oh dear. You don't mean? I'm sorry to say I do, yes. It's pointed the finger at you, Mr. Natsume. Ah! My sweet poison that he seeketh to end my life. That wicked caitiff. Soseki Natsume. No! Now! So I'm afraid you'll be appearing in court as planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations. No! This poor man can't catch a break. And so, once again, Soseki-san found himself having to take the dock in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in court and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him. To be continued. I was wondering when we were going to get one of those. That was a lot of investigating. Yes, we shall definitely save here. Alright. We are... That is... Come on, please. Give me control. You don't gotta go that... Okay. That's where we're gonna stop for the evening. And we will pick this up next week to begin the trial. Once again, for our dear poor friend, terribly unlucky Mr. Soseki Natsume. But for now... Ooh, there we go. Hey! Thanks all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. That was a lot of fun. I love getting into the stories of these games. Mr. Soseki Natsume is like such a great animated character that like he's really fun to read. And now we've got Mr. William Shamspear. What a name! And then that dude who looks like in bee-colored clothing, kind of? I don't know. Anyway, that's gonna be interesting. I wonder who he is. And then we also have to like figure out what the heck this case has to do with whatever's going on in Japan and why Sasato-san got called back. So there's a lot to unpack here. We're gonna figure it out. We'll figure it out together. But yeah. Hey, thanks all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Thanks to all my lurkers, chatters, and VoD watchers. 21 Snakes, Neoneko, Darjeelingling. I appreciate you all. We will pick this up next week, like I said. But for now, have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a great rest of your evening. And I'll see you guys then. All right? Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.